All right, so there's guys out there who basically live their life in a haze. They barely roll out of bed. Maybe they're smoking weed multiple times a day. Maybe they're fapping multiple times a day. And they're sleeping and napping throughout the rest of the day, not doing anything productive, just in avoidance mode with life, right? Whereas there's other guys out there who seem to move with a purpose. They may have already accomplished some hard to accomplish goals, and they're well on their way to accomplishing some more. I'm going to talk about what I think is the difference between these two guys and how we can be in the latter group. Without further ado, let's dive into it. I remember vividly. This is back in grade 11. And just to preface this, I have anxiety. So I've had anxiety basically throughout my whole life. But I remember specifically when I was in grade 11, my anxiety had just spiked up, right? And I couldn't understand why. So I'm walking down this hallway, right? And my heart is like beating out of my chest. I'm like pulling on my shirt. Like I'm feeling like everyone's looking at me. And mind you, there's literally no one in the hallway. And I don't know what it was, but in that moment, I remember thinking to myself, what the heck happened? How did my anxiety just spike all the way up just within 1 year? And you know what? Back then, I was literally almost identical to the former guy I just described. I was barely rolling out of bed, smoking weed multiple times a day, fapping multiple times a day. And for the rest of the time, I would just be sleeping or napping, just trying to avoid life because the mentality I was rolling with at the time is that I was in a horrific place mentally, so everything else is so painful to deal with that I'd rather just avoid it in any way possible. And I was just in a very, very bad place mentally. Now, I do want to make a point before I go any further. Some people will hear everything I've said and they can say, oh, it's not about the weed, bro. It's not about the fapping. You can still enjoy life, bro. You don't have to cut everything. And it's like, take those people, put them to the side, right? What I'm saying, I'm not here trying to say what adults can or cannot do, right? But the main question I'd ask is, are you in control? Because I wasn't, right? That's the fact of the matter. I wasn't doing these things in the sense that, oh, let's smoke a little weed, have a little fun, or something like that. I was doing it because, again, everything else in life felt so painful that I was doing this to avoid it, right? I was doing it to avoid life, and that's why it was a problem. Now, as far as practical advice, what can I recommend? What did I do to go from that place to where I am now? And everything changed for me when I started focusing on less, when I focused on the one thing, right? So let me elaborate on that. I remember back then when I was in this horrific place mentally, I would be like scrolling through my phone and I'd run into like one of those hustle culture videos, which is like, oh, just grind all day, bro. Just sleep 4 hours a night if you have to. It's all about working hard. Just work hard all the time, every minute of the day. And it's like, oh my God, take that thought and throw it out the window as well. Look, when I did that, when I would, get motivated by these videos and I would be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up early, I'm going to meditate, and then I'm going to like take a cold shower, whatever it may be, right? I would commit to like all these things. I would stick with that for maybe a week, 2 weeks, and then I'd be back to my old ways. Because when you're over here mentally, where I was, where you have no discipline, nothing, and you're all the way over here, you can't just make a leap all the way here. Frankly, most to do that will fail, right? So by focusing on less, focusing on one thing, what I did specifically at that point was I was very, very insecure about my physique, how I looked physically, like from top to bottom. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit to my fitness goal. And even if I do nothing else productive all day, I'm going to make sure, my workout's on point and my nutrition's on point. And that's what I committed to, just that one thing, right? And I started to see physical changes in my body, right? It was the first time in my life that I had actually accomplished a hard to accomplish goal. And then that built a momentum. So I was like, okay, if I can do this, then maybe I can fix my career as well. Then I focused on my career goal and then I accomplished that as well. But that momentum is so, so important. And that momentum was only built up for me because I focused on one thing. Had I done the hustle culture thing, do everything all day, bro. Like, again, I would have burnt out in 2 weeks and not really made any progress. So that's what worked for me. Now, there is one important point I want to make here, and that is be kind to yourself throughout this journey. Look, this one thing, kind of focusing on one thing, this is what worked for me. And you're over here. You're consuming this content. I'm assuming you're consuming maybe some other blogs or reading some books and things like that as well. Like you're on the right track, right? You figured out that you want to go to the next level in life. You want to accomplish more in life. You want to improve yourself day by day. That already is something to respect. But one more thing I can tell you is whatever journey you pursue, whether it be fitness, whether it be money, whether it be spiritual, doesn't matter. It'll be a rocky road, right? Even in my fitness journey, I made it sound maybe a little too smooth when I said, "Oh, I just focused on this one thing," but it was a really, really rocky journey. When I started, I didn't know what bulking or cutting even was. And then when I found out about bulking or cutting, I went on like a dirty bulk and gained like 50 pounds in the span of a few months and got like chubby. So then I had to lose all that fat. And then throughout the whole time, I didn't even know if I was training right. There were a few, obviously, gym days that I ended up skipping just because I was too tired from work or school or whatever. And it was just up, down, up, down, up, down. It wasn't just like, whoop, right? It wasn't linear. And progress for any goal will basically never be linear, right? But here's the deal. You're over here. Again, you're focused on improving day by day, and you're taking steps in the right direction. You're putting one foot in front of the other in the right direction. That's what matters, and that's something to respect. So be kind to yourself throughout this journey. Now, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine that, you've taken this advice and you've achieved your goal physique. So you're looking at yourself in the mirror a while from now and you're like, damn, I'm looking real sexy. I'm looking real good, right? Imagine that. Imagine that if you have any financial goals, I definitely did. So imagine that you now have the money to, that you're able to give to your family. Or if you wanted money, maybe, for dating. Because one of the problems I had before was I would go out on a date and I wasn't even sure if I could afford it. And now you can go out on dates no problem without even a single concern in the back of your mind of whether or not you can afford it. Or you can go out with friends without having to worry about if you can afford it. Or maybe you want to move out so you can move out, pay rent, and no worries even cross your mind. You just move out, you pay the rent, and you have the money to do that, no problem. Imagine that. And that's the path you're headed on. Whatever your goal may be, I'm confident you can achieve it. But frankly, what I believe doesn't matter. What you believe matters, and I hope you believe in yourself too. And that's all I have for this video. Ultimately, what I want here, I want this to be our positive little community where we help each other, support each other, and encourage each other to get to that next level. So please come join our community. I'm going to leave my Instagram, TikTok somewhere over here. Please do support there as well. Please do like, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Peace.